Hi, this is L. Chandrasekhar from the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. My topic is something the way for digital phase lock loops clock generation in the future with digital signal processing for mitigating spur and interference. Phase lock loops are widely deployed in most electronic systems to generate a desired clock frequency, perform clock data recovery, and achieve frequency or phase modulation depending on the intended application such as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 5G, gigabit Ethernet, or optical fiber communication. Recently, the trend toward system on chip has resulted in the need for a low cost, robust, and highly reconfigurable PLL architecture. This large scale integration for advanced application requires a deeply scaled integrated circuit technology with a low supply voltage, but it inevitably results in a design bottleneck such as voltage headroom or reliability issues for analog phase lock loops. The conventional analog PLL consists of an analog phase frequency detector, a charge pump, a passive loop filter, and a voltage controlled oscillator to maintain PLL locking the phase error between the reference and the VCO clock is detected by the analog PFD, which outputs a sequence of pulses with a width proportional to the difference of two phases. To avoid detect modulation of those pulses to the VCO, the CP and low pass filter are used to suppress the high frequency component at the PFD output and generate an overraged value at the oscillator's voltage control node to adjust the oscillation frequency. The loop filter design impact PLL bandwidth significantly and becomes the key to optimizing the PLL phase noise because the reference noise will observe a closed loop. Low pass response while the VCO noise is a high pass response. Finally, the VCO output is fed to the PFD via feedback divider. In steady state, the frequency of the PLL will be locked to the multiplication of the reference clock frequency PREF and feedback division ratio for both the analog and digital architectures. This is the black diagram of spur information in voltage domain and spur information in digital domain. Injection locking is a phenomenon that occurs when a coupled oscillator is disturbed by an interfering oscillator operating at a nearby frequency. If the coupling is strong and the frequency of two oscillators are close enough, the coupled oscillator has an essentially identical frequency to that of the interfering oscillator. The RO is the coupled oscillator and the LCDCO is the interfering oscillator. In the injection locked steady state, the RO frequency matches precisely to that of the DCO over process voltage, temperature, PVT. Variation and the intermediate stage of the RO equally divides one DCO period into multiple subscription to provide finer DCO phases which will be preserved in the digital domain after sampling by the reference clock. With this frequency and phase tracking capabilities, the ILTDC topology performs the same functionality as a PFD. This is the cross-coupled pair and decoder cap arrays. Specification of spurious tone performance from the system level perspective. It is more important that the whole system meets a general specification that consider all types of jittery effects from a variety of building blocks. Hence, it is difficult to decouple the spurious PLL effects without knowing the macro architectural design. In other words, if the spore budget is consumed, then the targeted spurious PLL performance should be adjusted accordingly. To illustrate how to define the specification of the PLL spore, the impact of the spurious tone to the wireless and wireline system should be examined. This real PLL is applied to a wireless communication system. It will introduce unwanted reciprocal mixing between the spore and incoming signal, degrading the overall performance. As depicted on the transmitter side, following the mixer, the input signal is upconverted and generates additional spurious tone, which may violate the emission mask issued by the US Federal Communication Commission or other regulations. On the receiver side, the incoming signal may include blockers if the frequency of the blockers coincides with the of the PLL spools. The blocked will be down converted to the baseband. Consequently, the signal to noise ratio performance will be rated. In wireless communication, the PLL spore specification is determined by evaluating the worst case spore level normalized to the carrier power across different frequency offset as a way to ensure that the resulting system degradation is within the tolerance margin. By examining the transmitters, emission mask and the receiver specificity to the blockers, the maximum allowable spurious tone can be back calculated. Note that the spore introduced mixing issue is just one of many unwanted outcomes. Another example is that the spore will increase the deterministic jitter, which is a headache in wireline application. Because of increasing bit rates, the time period of data has reduced dramatically and leaves a stringent margin for the signal integrity between the transmitted data and the recovered clock. Consequently, when the effect of the jitter kicks in, it will result in closure of I diagram and an increase in bit error rate, the impact of random jitter and DJ on the eye. We can get the ideal sample point from this diagram. Spore mitigation techniques in digital intensive DPLL architectures. Because of the varieties of PLL spores, intensive research has been conducted to achieve optimal spore performance. In this section, previous techniques are classified into three different categories. The first is the analog mitigation approach, which involves the filtering or isolation technique to improve the power supply rejection ratio performance of the victim block. The second category is the direct spore mitigation approach, where a compensation signal is generated in nullify the spores within the digital embodiment of DPLS. The final category is the Dither based spore mitigation approach by leveraging the dithering is spurious energy is spread across the spectrum and hence the spurious level is reduced to avoid potential confusion due to various DPLL architectures investigated in previous works. All techniques are presented based on the frequency accumulation type DPLL platform. Analog approach. Because of the complexity of the current SOC system, determining the source of the spores and performing the compensation are difficult. One advantage of analog approach is that the properties of the interference do not need to accurately estimated a priori. This approach includes the stabilization of the supply domain by inserting a low dropout, the enhancement of the PSRR in the sensitive block by filtering, isolating, and the prevention of direct interference coupling by frequency planning. Supply regulation. The supply regulated PLL architecture is an existing technique based on the observation that the oscillation frequency of an RO is proportional to the supply voltage by inserting an LDO regulator between the output of the low filter and the supply of the oscillator. The regulator output can directly track the oscillation frequency and provide strong immunity to the supply noise simultaneously without increasing the PLL supply. However, as the regulation path is embedded within the PLL loop, the extra pole introduced by the LDO will affect the PLL stability and bandwidth setting. To decouple those design constraints, a supply regulated DPLL architecture with split tuning technique is implemented by incorporating the LDO in the low bandwidth integral path. The additional pole does not affect the overall DPLL dynamics significantly, which is still determined by the proportional path, but the noise rejection capability of the DCO supply is strengthened. Direct spur mitigation approach. To avoid being confused by the source of the coupling path and mechanism, various articles have addressed the spur issue by applying a direct spur cancellation technique. The key purpose of approach is to minimize unwanted phase errors within the digital embodiment, which will no longer propagate to the DCO output to generate spurs in the spectrum. Adaptive spur cancellation to mitigate external spurs via the reference path. Because of the profound DSP opportunities provided by the DPLL, a previous studies adapting single tone spur cancellation scheme allows exploration of the direct mitigation technique in the digital domain. The implemented cancellation scheme uses the phase error information within the DPLL loop to estimate the properties of the spurious tone coupled to the interference clock buffer, and then a single tone complementation signal generated from direct digital synthesis is injected into the DPLL through an adaptive filter. Conclusions. Recently, a rapid development of DPLL topology has occurred because of the scaling of the technology, which enabled more efficient digital computation with lower power and area consumption. Furthermore, because of the reconfigurability and flexibility of a digital nature, the advantage of using DPLLs outweigh the disadvantages. However, because DPLL performance is highly influenced by the unavoidable quantization caused by TDC operation and the interfering signal in a hostile SOC system, many DSP techniques have been explored to resolve these issues. According to the comparison of analog and digital PLS, DPLLs have demonstrated an unparalleled improvement and even better performance related to PLL spurs. Hence, this digital intensive architecture allows for new design direction and capabilities for future PLLs to surpass the achievements of existing architectures. Thank you.